And we're back. How's everybody doing? We're doing here in the expert interrogation chamber. We've got John Goolsby, the Godfather of all films, of all things awesome. He's in the house with his shades on, and we're happy to have everybody back. How you doing, John?
I'm doing just fine.
Good, good, good. So we've got a little house rules here. We welcome everybody who's on the call. Anybody who's in guest mode, if you want to interact, or leave a question, which we'll get to later. We'll talk about that, or type in the chat. Just make sure that you log in either via Facebook or Twitter. And if you don't want to do that, you can create your own account. But Facebook and Twitter are the quickest, easiest ones to do, so you can interact in the chat here, and you'll be able to ask questions. Because in the last half of the show here, you'll be able to do some rapid fire questions for John. You'll be able to ask him hopefully pretty much anything. We'll see. If he doesn't want to answer, he won't. And if it's a crazy question, we'll do that and we'll move on real quick. But we want to get some rapid fire answers in from him in the last half of the call. But in the beginning, we're going to kind of get to know him a little bit. We'll ask him some questions, and you can cue things off of that, guys. So we're here to have a good time. Everybody be awesome, and let's get this show on the road. So tell us a little bit about yourself, John. Tell us when you got started and how all that started back, 3,000 weddings ago, and we'll kind of journey through that. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I was in high school, a freshman in 1973. The school got a large federal grant. They bought microfiche, a bunch of other stuff, and then they bought TV equipment. And that's before you could go to Sears and buy video cameras. So walking on the moon and producing television were two main things that just impressed people. And I played with it all year in the library, and then they hired an algebra teacher to teach it in my second year, but he didn't know anything, so I would come in, show him a few things. So I'm 15 years old, and I'm bringing home this television gear, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. But after high school, I went to work in the supermarket because that's what everybody in my family did. By the time I was 22, I was a manager for Safeway stores, most profitable store on the West Coast, and I thought that was going to be my career for life. Then the company went through a hostile takeover, a leveraged buyout, and Price Club, Costco, all these discount stores started popping up, and I'm not going to be able to retire in this career. I need to find something new. So in 1986, I videotaped a wedding. I edited with 2 VHS decks, play, pause, play, pause. I put it to the music of Beverly Hills Cop. I showed it to the clients, and they cried. Not because it was really bad, but they liked it. And I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. So I started going part-time in my supermarket job. I transferred into the training department, started producing films on how to bag groceries, how to mop floors, won a national award for my floor mopping video. But wedding films, I mean, producing video, it's all work and it's all jobs, but wedding films, that feedback from the client was a different reward than just cash. And I'm hooked. And 27 years later, almost 3,000 weddings, 25 states, 15 countries, I'm still addicted to it.
That's awesome. So weddings is your main source of revenue then?
Not anymore. The last couple of years, we've done more in corporate work. I'm working for a couple of major hospitals, some pharmaceutical companies. As you know, everybody needs video for their website. And so our company did over 300 projects last year, and just over half of them were corporate jobs. So just under 150 wedding films.
So how many weddings would you be shooting personally?
Yeah, I met almost all of them, almost
Really?
all. My son Chip, him and I were both named Event DD Top 25, the only father-son team to make it. And there's 6 of us full-time in the store. And sometimes they ask for me, but my employees tell them they usually get a better deal if they get one of them. They have a little more training and education and all that. But we'll tell them it's always a team effort. It's never just one of us. So everything I've showed you has been a team effort. Most people seem to be happy with that.
So will you have multiple weddings then on one day, and you show up to each of them, or how does that work for you?
We've done as many as 5 wedding films in a day, and I think I was at 3 of them, where I would come and film the ceremony, then go on to the next one and on to the next one.
Wow, okay.
So I'll typically take the one that is most challenging, or I'll take the destination wedding.
There you go.
So are you more of, when you're on site, John, I know you're saying you're shooting some, but do you ever find yourself, I mean, are you kind of in a role where you're kind of the trainer or the manager? I mean, are you on site kind of helping your guys be better, or you just say, well, give me a camera and I'll grab this angle, and they know what they're doing? I mean, what's kind of your, from the entrepreneurial side of what you do, how does that work?
Well, the one thing I like about wedding films is it's different every time, every location, every cast, every script, it's a little different. So we have to approach it, look at it, and usually when we arrive at the venue or at the rehearsal, we'll come up with a game plan. Who's going to run what camera from what angle? How are we going to transition? I'm almost always on the camera that focuses on the bride's face, just a control freak. About the only one time out of all these weddings that I took a behind-the-scenes role is I was on a job down in Cancun and my gallbladder exploded. And they took me down to ER and I wouldn't let them operate on me. I had them give me pain medicine. And then when I got home, they took me right into surgery, and I shot a wedding 2 days later. Didn't tell the client that I'd just come out of surgery, and to be honest, I didn't do much. They put the camera in front of me, and I pushed the start button, but the client owned a wedding dress store and important contact, and I felt like I needed to be seen there, so that's the only time I've really taken a laid-back role.
How does your business...
Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, Mike. I was going to say, how in a situation where you're doing, 3, 4, or 5 weddings a weekend or in a weekend, I mean, how does kind of your infrastructure, sort of back office infrastructure, take care of all those details? I mean, you guys are out in the field, but are you guys also able to do sort of the administrative side of that during the week, or how is sort of your team designed? I mean, what's the makeup?
Well, I've got 6 full-time employees, and everybody does everything. Everybody shoots, everybody edits, everybody meets with clients. And then there are certain other roles that different employees play. One of them is responsible for cleaning all the sensors and all the lens after every shoot. Another employee is responsible for taking all the cards, backing them up to Drobo, putting them on a hard drive. I'll go in and I'll assign them to projects. Another employee does all the graphic work. But the business runs the same if I'm there or not there. As a matter of fact, I haven't been in the office in about a week. I haven't been home in about a week. And everything seems to function just fine.
Let's get into the sales and marketing aspect, because I know that's when I talked to you a little bit on the phone. That's been your strong point. There's so many guys that have been in the business for 20 or 30 years, but they're really struggling now. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to stay relevant. Your strong point has been sales and marketing. You've done major presentations all over the world to people, wedding professionals in general, about that topic. So what is it that makes you unique? What is pulling in those 300 projects? What are some nuggets we can take away that can help other people out there stay relevant, stay in the times, not go, oh my gosh, I'd have to give my studio away to get $1,500 to get a project right now. I used to be able to get 30 weddings, no problem, but now I can't get any,
I can tell you so many stories. I was showing up for a wedding, and I meet this master photographer, 30-year veteran, world-class photographer, and he's telling me that 2 years ago he did over 120 weddings. Last year he had like 12. This year he's got 2. And he goes, I have no idea what's going on. And later that afternoon, I'm at another wedding just down the street. There's these 2 young girls in their 20s. They're wearing heels. They've got cameras with kit lens on them, and on-camera flash, very modest investment. And they told me they had over 200 weddings booked this year, and they were getting it from Facebook followers. And I'm going, okay, now they've got dialed in. But my own business, I remember when I went and got a job in the supermarket when I was 16, because that's what all my family does. And I went there and applied for the job, and the manager says, no, we're not hiring. So I go back a week later, no, we're not hiring. I go back the 3rd week, no, we're not hiring. But I happened to go with my my mother that day. And my mother was a stunningly beautiful woman, also had 7 children. So not only is she good looking, she's a great customer, buys a lot in the grocery store. She's in line. I go stand next to her. Manager comes over because he sees her, and then he sees the 2 of us together, and he goes, oh, are you her son? I go, yeah. And he goes, oh, can you start Monday? And that's when I realized that relationships are so important in the business world. So I've always been into marketing. I remember when I first started filming weddings, there was no educational resources available to me at all for wedding video. So I used to just follow the photographer, assuming he knew more than I did, and he was shooting what needed to be shot, and I just follow him. And one time at this wedding, during the formal posing, the photographer turns to me and says, "Hey, is this good video?" And he wasn't saying it to be nice, but I thought, maybe he's onto something. So the very next wedding, the photographer's with the guys, I'm hanging out with the girls before the wedding. When he comes to photograph the girls, I went and hung out with the guys. He took one part of the church, I went up to the balcony. He sets up a backdrop at the reception, I watch. And when he's done, I said, "Can I borrow them for a few minutes?" He goes, "Oh my gosh, I forgot you were here. And I really hate video people. There's a group of professionals that meets every third Wednesday in our town. Why don't you come and join?" I'm going, okay, at least the photographer's talking to me. Maybe it's a leads group, maybe it's Amway, I don't know what it is. I go and it's a photographer's group. He introduces me to the board. I become a member that night. They're not really happy to have me there. I go to the first meeting. There's a guy speaking. I think the guy's brilliant. They go, "Next month is member month. We need one of our members to speak." "Oh, come on, guys, somebody, anybody." And I see my hand up in the air like, what the heck? I've never spoke publicly in my life anywhere. Okay, you. "Oh, the video guy." "Anybody else?" Anybody at all? So I ended up speaking. It was well received. I was elected to the board that night by open nominations. I ended up becoming president of that local photographers group. Then I became president of Professional Photographers of California. And right now I'm the state coordinator for the Association of Bridal Consultants in California. And those contacts with photographers, bridal consultants, just all sorts of wedding professionals. I mean, I'm going to groups weekly. Those have led to some really, really good jobs. So I'm really into networking, and I think that's what keeps us busy. And I think that's been the difference between some of these other wedding professionals I've run into who just, they think cutting the price is going to get the job, but most of them end up cutting the prices to where they're no longer profitable.
Well, and have you found then that it's been more the relationships with all these different people as opposed to just, so you're getting more from that than from referrals? How much of the business is coming in from just referrals now? Not referrals from these relationships, but just the referrals. Like for my business for a while, I got to a point where, my same day edit was something that it was garnishing so many leads that nothing else, I wasn't doing anything else, in my business. So have you found that you've had to continue that hustle with all those relationships as opposed to you've done all these weddings and now you're going to have all these leads from referrals from those weddings?
Previous clients sending us new clients is our #1 source of referrals, and we do track them.
Okay.
But it was back in 2002 I read a book called Who Moved My Cheese? And it talks about not being complacent with your source of cheese or business because it could disappear or dry up overnight. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm getting most of my leads from one hotel. What if something goes south there? So there was a busy wedding dress store in my town, and I predetermined in my mind that if anything opened up next to that dress store, I would take it on the spot so I wouldn't risk losing it or it wouldn't get away from me. Sure enough, the very next day I'm driving down the freeway and there's a sign on the building, "Your name here." And I pull around and I go in there and I look at it. I talk with the owner. I lease it on the spot. I spend $50,000, build it out, turn it into an event planning showroom, photographers, DJs, limos, wedding planners, florists, everything in one place. And the day we opened, the lady running the dress store disappeared. So now the dress store is going to close. So I ended up buying that business. I ran the wedding dress store for 5 years. But when I opened that store, I went from doing 40 to 50 weddings a year to 250 a year, just like within a year. The economy was booming. People were coming in with their home equity checks, taking our top package on the spot. There would be times we would have 3 appointments going at once in 3 different consultation areas. Then 2007, the economy in my town didn't slow down. It rolled over and died. And I knew I had to reinvent my business and retool and expand my marketing from just my local area, which was just horrible, to global. And so we rebranded, came up with our new name, Godfather Films. I have almost 200 domain names. We get close to 250,000 hits on our web every month. And I've been traveling, and it's not so much that I enjoy it, because I do, but that's not the motivation. It's just my local area can no longer support the volume of business I was doing. So I either slim down, lay off people, quit working out of a storefront, or expand my marketing to a larger area. And it worked. So that's why we're still in business.
Got a follow up to that, Chris?
No, I just think it's awesome. I love the idea of, I mean, I don't think many of us could run, a separate business, a dress shop or whatever, in terms of having that kind of expertise. But just the fact that you were, it was almost like obviously a huge marketing front. You're providing a service, and I'm sure it was making money and all that. But the fact that it was just this huge lead generator, I mean, I think a lot of us, there's things that we can do. I mean, even what we do in our corporate, where you're kind of providing value in some other thing, and it just serves as an accelerator to, get them to what you really want them to buy. And
the wedding dress
that's
store was really good for us. I had a family of 5. We were all adults. We were all working in the business. I had TV monitors all the way around the dress store, showing our work. And the dress store business was hard. I remember when I went to my first market, where you decide what lines you're going to carry. And every time I'd find a dress line I wanted to carry, they would tell me no. What do you mean no? Well, we already have somebody in your town carrying our line, or 3 in your county, or 5 in your state. In order to protect their margins, they would limit the number of retailers, and that was all new to me. So I went in and produced a film on why we were such a great choice to carry their lines, got a portable DVD player, and the next year I went to market. I already knew who the most successful dress lines were. I went up to the manufacturing reps, showed them the video, talked to them. We got all the good lines into our store, or most of them. So I kept that store for 5 years, and then I sold it for 6.5 times what I paid for it. But I tell you, wedding dress store is a tough business.
So, it sounds like, I mean, you love the weddings and you love filming the weddings, but obviously we talk a lot about this on some of our coaching calls. You can have great work and not be good at business, and you're not doing so well. Or you can have really bad work and be great at business and do well, and then you can have great work and great at business, and you really crush it. And it seems like you've got that combination, but which it also seems though you've got more of that entrepreneur, more of that businessman in you, because you're able to manage so many different things. How are you pulling that all together? I mean, you've got the other employees, but you said everybody's doing everything, but really does certain people actually have certain specialties? I mean, what is your major role in the, the whole big picture here?
Yeah, every day I'm doing stuff. I get about 300 emails a day. So if I didn't do anything else and answer emails, that keeps me really, really busy. I've got a really good team. They're all talented. They're like family to me. And there have been times where we have a corporate client that needs something right away. They pull all-nighters. I've had them come in on their off day. I've had them travel. I couldn't do it without the team I have.
And at what point did you expand? At what point was it, talk about that for a second. When was it you've got 6 now. When did you start to get employees? What was that process like for you? When did you decide, oh my gosh, I've got to get other people? When were you doing it solo, or how long did you even do it solo? Did you automatically start to get people,
Well, I worked for about 12 years out of my house, very modest neighborhood. I enclosed the garage, put a separate door. I remember people, when I first started, they had to walk past my lawnmower to get to my office to hire me to film their weddings. Then I moved into a executive suite downtown, shared it with a photographer. My business improved right away, a better retail location, easier to find. And plus, I didn't get TV in my office, which means I couldn't watch the California police chases that we had online every day. I was addicted to those, so then I got a little more professional. And then when I opened up our event planning showroom and bought the wedding dress store, then it was just me and my son Chip working. And business was progressively growing, and I had to keep adding people until we got to 6. There was something I wanted to share.
Yes.
Back when I had to retool, and I go to a lot of wedding video conventions and other conventions, and where you just mentioned that some people have a lot of talent but not many sales, and some people have sales and not much talent. I was aware, because I was doing a seminar for Weeva down in Orlando on how to find success in a tough economy. So then I started calling people I knew in the business, had been around for a while, and a lot of them were struggling. One guy in particular, my age, he couldn't go to Weeva because he didn't have the money for the plane fare. I remember I say, listen, I'll get you a ticket. I'll pay for it. He says that I just can't afford to go. And the guy was at the top of the game. I mean, you guys would all know his name. And so what I did is I knew there were only a handful of wedding filmmakers in the country that were doing well. I mean, literally only a handful. And so then I went and started looking at all of them to see what I could find in common. The one thing they had in common is they all had great websites. They all had a great social media presence, and they were all doing fantastic work. So instantly went in and redesigned our website, got very active with Facebook, and I knew I had to step up my game as far as the product we were producing. And fortunately, there's several talented people that help us get better as we go. And sometimes I have to learn from somebody half my age, and sometimes I have to learn from somebody with only a few years in the business. But I decided I couldn't let my pride stand in the way. We're still such a new industry that it's the pioneers who are pushing the envelope and making us better. So,
what has it been as of recently that has in the work, like what has been the thing that set you apart in regards to the product, the video itself? Like what was the difference in something where you were like, well, this is what I'm doing, I guess I need to change my game? What were those types of things that you had to change? What were you doing and what are you doing now?
Well, when video was added to still cameras, and I had predicted that like 15 years ago, I love the quality, but it was hard for me to adjust to that working format. I remember I had a wedding down in Mexico, fabulous 5-day shoot and everything, and I bought a 60D just for the shoot. And the product looks good, the client loves it, I love it, but I had trouble working with the camera. And so when the Sony FS100 came out, it still has a full-size 35mm sensor, but it has all the tools I'm used to, like XLR inputs with a headphone jack and phantom power and zebra function and peaking controls. That has made things much easier for me. So we're producing as good as quality as anybody in the business, but it's a tool that I was comfortable with. Same-day edits. We did our first one in 1990, and the client has hired me every 5 years since. Every time they renew their vows, every 5 years.
Really?
I did my first love story back in '89. I won a CEA back in '96 for an 11-minute wedding film. It was the whole film in 11 minutes. I remember people saying that wasn't possible. I remember clients would feel ripped off if you delivered a VHS tape that didn't have 120 minutes worth of material on it. Like, they wasted that VHS tape.
See, gotcha. Hold on, let's see here a second. All right, people, we want to make sure, since we haven't taken a little break here, to let people know what's going on. So we've got John Goolsby here, and if you've got questions, he's got answers. Hopefully, but please ask questions. We're going to start queuing those up here in just a few minutes, to where if you've got specific questions that you'd like answered, put those in right below John. It says submit a question, and we'll basically queue that up, and we'll start rapid fire asking him different questions. And we know we've got a few of his buddies on here. Lance Gray's on the call, John. He says he's known you for a long time. And Lance is going to be one of the future experts here towards the end of the month. We're excited to have him on. But, yeah, guys, ask your questions. And then if you're in guest mode, which there's a lot of you in guest mode, if you want to ask a question or you want to chat, be sure to just try to do either one. And then when you're doing it, they'll ask you to log in via Facebook or Twitter. You could create a Spreecast, but Facebook or Twitter is going to be quicker. That way you can interact. All right, the questions are starting to come in. So, yeah, we'll just talk for a few more minutes here, and then we'll start doing those. Chris, you got any follow-ups, digging a little deeper on Mr. John there? Or any other stories that you want to tell, too? You've got a laundry list of different things. What has been any other big breakthroughs? Like, I remember the one thing you did where you had the videos on your thing you put in your pocket, a little thing like that. You've done a lot of different things. What has been one of those things that really worked for you, that wasn't something that just, well, it could be a gimmick. What was one of the gimmicks or whatever that really, helped out, and you saw a big change in your business from it?
Well, the video name tag is a good tool for me. As soon as I saw it, I knew I wanted to use it. And I became a retailer for them. I still am. So it's just a 2 by 3 inch name tag, has a video screen on it, has a 2 gigabyte hard drive inside. So you can load hours of video. It'll repeat for 8-10 hours at a time on a rechargeable battery. I remember the first time I wore it to a networking meeting down in South Orange County, I thought, well, they might feel it's a little tacky or cheesy. Everybody's coming over asking me about it and talking to me. I made so many contacts because of that. I remember when the portable DVD players first came out, I would go to hotels that would have multiple ballrooms, and I would do films of all their ballrooms, put chapters on it, put it on the DVD, and give it to them on a player so that they could facilitate easier sales. They could show the rooms even when they couldn't go in, and that scored a lot of points. Working hard to get on vendor lists.
I just want to make a comment before we came on here. I was checking out your website, and for those of you guys that kind of wonder what's a good way to organize your website, you got to go to his website. I mean, your website, I feel like, is just organized very well, and within the first 10 seconds, you know that this is a company that is going to do a great job on your project. Just, we talk about building credibility, and it's the awards, it's the work. I mean, it's just very well organized. I just want to make sure that people, check out that website before they get off of here or at some point, just to get some ideas really on how to kind of build credibility with their own customer base.
And
thank you very much.
Go ahead.
One of the things that we did our website, and I know there's been a lot of discussion in the past, people who do corporate video and wedding films like we do, they'll try and create 2 separate websites or a separate identity. And I think the premise is that because corporate clients won't hire you if you do weddings. But I've got so many corporate jobs from my wedding clients, and I've got so many weddings from my corporate clients that we integrate them right onto the homepage, and we don't shy away from trying to promote either one.
Well, and especially if you're coming at it from a higher end branding standpoint, I think where a lot of our members that are part of our insider program have challenging, it's kind of like they're just getting started. So it's difficult for them they don't know a whole lot about either niche. And so to kind of mix it all up is confusing for them. But somebody that's had a lot more experience or just says, hey, you know what, this is how we're going to do it. I mean, I think there's definitely a lot of power in that, because you're right. I mean, who's paying for the high-end weddings anyway? Well, it's the people that have high-end corporate jobs, the ones that can hire you for both. So I think that's a pretty good strategy based on how you've done it.
We own the domain name weddingvideo.com, which is really great for traffic. And so we were just going to name our business that, and actually went by it for quite a while. And then I got hired by a pharmaceutical company to go to Boston and do a couple of webcasts. And I'm going, they're not going to hire me with the name Wedding Video. I just know they won't. And that's when I hired a PR company to help rebrand us, because I was kind of lost. And the first thing they said was drop the name video and go with films. And I go, yeah, I totally agree with that. We were using Canon Video, which I named after my dad, who was a disc jockey. He went by John Cannon. But people started spelling Canon differently than I did when Canon cameras became so popular. So it's just like, what am I going to do? So
how many rebrandings you said have you gone through the years?
Well, we went through one rebranding, and when we were trying to get our new name, the publicist is saying, well, you're pretty well known. You've written a few books. You've done over 2,000 weddings. You speak at conventions. You're in the Hall of Fame. Call yourself John Goolsby Films. And I said, well, if they can't spell Canon, how are they going to spell Goolsby? That's not going to fix my problem. And so we're kicking around ideas, and a little intern at the end of the table says, well, I was Googling you. You come up a lot. You're like the Godfather of video. And I said, well, they've been introducing me as the Godfather of video conventions for like a decade now, not because I'm a tough guy, but because I've been around so long. And that's where the name Godfather Films came up. But I had to acquire the domain name. Somebody had it, but they weren't using it. And when I called him and told him what I wanted to do, he said he would just give it to me. And I said, well, no, let me PayPal you $100 to make it official. So I bought the domain name for $100, and my web traffic doubled the first month I had it. And nobody
So
asked me
we
how to
got-
spell it.
So I was just going to ask one more question, Michael. Then we can hit these the lightning round of questions. But I noticed on the website, and you just mentioned it, which reminded me to ask the actual book that you've written and that you kind of promote on the website. I mean, number one, I think it's cool that you have a book in the first place. But number two, I think it's even cooler that you charge for it. So I mean, can you talk about sort of what that's done to build your? I mean, because to me, it's like, well, not only are these guys credible, but they've got a book, and they're obviously good enough to where they're going to charge me to even get access to the book. I mean, what has that done from a marketing standpoint and really separating, Godfather Films from the other competitors that you're going head to head with?
It was 1991. I was speaking at WEVA, and Roy Chapman comes over and says, "John, you got to write a book." And so we wrote the book, The Business of Wedding and Special Event Videography. But 3 years ago, Wedding MBA, which is a convention for wedding professionals, they have about 2,500 people attend, and the promoter of the show asked me to speak at the coming year. And we talked a couple times during the year, and I send off my materials like a month in advance and all that. He calls me a week before the show saying, "Hey, we made a mistake. We printed the program. We didn't put you in it. We're not going to have you speak this year. But come on in. We'll give you a booth. We want you to attend. We'll have you speak the following year." And so I was pretty dejected, sad. I said, I've already put my program together. I'll bring it with me. If somebody doesn't show up, just think of me as like a backup prom date. And sure enough, I show up, and somebody couldn't make it. So they had me speak at Wedding MBA. And when you speak at a convention, usually people come up and ask you questions right afterwards. Well, the promoter of the show comes up, and he's talking to me while I'm on stage, and he hires me to film his daughter's wedding right while I'm on stage. And so we're talking after that, and I said, well, listen, we're going to do a same-day edit. And the wedding's in Phoenix, and a lot of top people there, and he goes, I don't even know what that is. And so I tell him, he says, well, I don't know if people will want that, and there's a lot going on. I said, no, we're doing it. He says, it's a real busy reception. I said, no, we're doing it. Okay, we're doing it. So we did the same-day edit at his daughter's wedding reception, and it got a standing ovation from every single guest. And he turns to me and he says, okay, you're the opening speaker at Wedding MBA next year. So then I become the opening speaker, keynote speaker for Wedding MBA, which is like a really big convention. And they decided to call it the Wedding Godfather Advice You Can't Refuse. And that's when I decided, if I'm doing all the research for this program, I'm going to write a book at the same time. So I did. And everybody who's listening, if you go to my website, Godfather Films, and you type in the code ABC, you can do a digital download for only $10. So that's just a little special for people who are listening today.
Can you type that in, Chris?
What was it again?
So it's
ABC.
ABC.
But it's Godfather Films /ABC?
If you go to godfatherfilms.com, my website,
Oh,
right at the top,
okay.
It's going to say order John's book. And that'll take you to another page, which is weddinggodfather.com, and there's a place for a coupon code right at the top.
Okay.
You getting that, dude?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it all set up. Have a coupon code ABC. All right, right at the top. Got it. Okay, boom. All right, good deal. All right, so we'll put this link in. And then let's get these questions rolling. All right, here.
All right, I'll tell me when you want to queue up, man, and I'll start queuing us up.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, this first one is from Ruben Lagatola. I love screwing up names, so sorry about that. Let's see. First question is, do you agree a style with your clients, or you drive them to choose what's your way? So do you talk to the client about a particular style, or do you try to drive them to, hey, this is how we do it. This is the Godfather way. Or are you kind of just being unique based on their individual tastes?
If the client's asking, a lot of times it's because they already have something in mind. So then I'll ask them what they're looking for. And, some people want a short film because they want to watch it a lot and post it online. Some people want a long film because they're afraid they're going to miss something or it's not going to be in their movie. What I do is I tell them I usually don't talk, interact, pose anybody. I want the movie to look like a film. And I let the event itself tell me how to film it. So I can show them what I've done in the past, but every event is different, and it's just like I hear a voice in my head telling me, what to film and what not to film, what to include. And then I also tell them that brides and grooms are not hard to read. I mean, they really have no hidden emotions on their wedding day at all. I can tell what's important to them by looking at their clothing, by the venue, by who they interact with and how they interact with them. Sometimes they want to give me a list of important people to film. I said, they're wearing flowers on their clothes. It's not that hard. I can tell. So I don't really have a style that we promote. It's a unique movie, and it's dictated to me by the elements of the event itself.
Cool.
Great.
This next question is from Randy Wheeler. He's one of our Create Insider members. He says, how does your 200 domain names generate leads? Are they all websites?
I've got about a dozen different websites. The 200 URLs I've purchased, like I have a wedding video, but I also have weeding video, knowing it's a common misspelling. I've got my name. I got several variations of my name. I got several variations of Godfather Films, and then I'm really into geo-specific domain names. So Riverside Video, Redlands Video, California Wedding Video, Orange County Video, Temecula Video, and those are all unique websites in themselves. Even though they all look the same, they look different to Google because I've changed the text up enough. And I have the same color scheme, but I have a different logo on each site. And then right on there it says powered by Godfather Films. And it's amazing how well it looks because I use a software called Drupal. So when I upload a video, I can go in and create a very unique URL that has the venue name, has the word wedding, has some other keywords. And we get calls weekly. Hi, do you have this date open for a wedding? And we'll tell them yes, and then we'll get a little bit farther into the conversation, and they think I'm the venue that they're looking at. Because when they Google the venue, I come up ahead of the venue quite frequently. And they watch the video, and then I have the phone number so they can just click it and call it from their smartphone. There's a place that refers me for 20 years now. And I remember I had the director of catering call me one time, and she says, John, tell me it's not true. Tell me you didn't hijack our website. I said, of course I didn't hijack our website. Well, our IT guy says you did. We just came out of an executive board meeting, and all the executive staff says you hijacked our website. Now we have to get a .org. I said, I can tell you I didn't do that. She goes, I was in the room when they typed in our name and wedding, and you came up ahead of us. I said, oh, yeah, that part's true. I do come up ahead of you, but I can teach you how to do the same thing. So
to come up ahead of you
yeah.
for their name.
And I remember the general manager actually hired me to be their social media guru the week before he was let go. So that job never happened.
Oh.
So Frank Farrell has a question. He says, John, what percentage of your business is corporate? I know you talked a little bit about that earlier, but if you could elaborate some, that would help, I think.
Well, we actually bought the domain name frankfarrell.com and had several spellings of it, just trying to take business away from him. And thank goodness it's working. So thanks, Frank. He knows I'm kidding. Frank's a longtime friend. Over half our work is now corporate.
Over half. Good deal.
Cool. All right. This is actually a question from CCTV Vermont. It's actually a video club with, I'm thinking, high school students, and I was kind of chatting with them during the first half. So it's pretty cool what they've got going on. So their question to you, John, is, let me load it up here. Anyway, their question is, what's your favorite edit system and why?
We were actually on the focus team for the software development of Edius. And I have been with that platform and its predecessors for maybe 15 years now. So we have 7 Edius workstations, edit stations in our store. And I really like it because we can throw anything at it. And it's like instant. We do our same-day edits. I could take the cards out of the camera, put them right into the laptop, and I'm editing instantly. I'm not having to transcode. I'm not having to do anything.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really good. My employees, every one I've hired seems to have an Apple background, but they all pick it up pretty quick. And so totally sold on that one. I'm sure the others are fine too. It's just what we go with.
Cool.
Great.
All right, another question from the same guys. What's the most interesting shoot you've done?
I can't tell you.
in 3,000, what's one that just stands out? I mean, it's head and shoulders above anything else. Wedding, corporate, you know, something totally unrelated to that. I mean, what?
I'm filming a wedding down in Riviera Maya, and it's the highlight of my wedding career. It's the fanciest wedding. I mean, it was in the, it was a lot of money, and it was classy and nice and friendly and fabulous experience. I ended up booking weddings from that. But I happened to notice that the groom's dad was his best man, and he didn't stand when the bride came down the aisle. And so later I said, well, is he okay? Well, no, he's had a stroke. This guy has his own Wikipedia page. They own an incredible billion-dollar company. And I said, you know, we should really do his life story. And the family dialed into it right away. They have flown me to New York 3 times. I actually spent Thanksgiving dinner at their apartment on overlooking Central Park. We watched Macy's parade from above. Then we went to their other home in New Jersey, and the mother of the family brought me my turkey dinner on a plate. And they've been like the most gracious, fabulous, wonderful people. And I think that job is one of the most rewarding. And another job just came to mind. And it's on my website under Frank Legacy. If you Google Godfather Films, Frank and Legacy. I'm flying back from Indiana on a job to Houston, and the lady next to me's got her laptop open, and she's working on photos, and so I strike up a conversation, and she says, oh, it's for my dad. He's dying of cancer. I'm doing a tribute to him. And I said, oh, that's what we do. And I pulled up my iPhone and started showing samples. And I booked 4 jobs on airplanes because of my iPhone, just showing samples to the person next to me. And so 3 weeks later, I'm in this guy's living room in Houston, and he's dying of cancer. And I interview him, his wife, his grown daughter, his grown son, and his 5-year-old grandson, who opens the video saying, I love my papa this much. And the guy looks at the camera and he goes, I know it won't be easy at first, but all you got to do is look in the eyes of the people we know, the people we love, and I'll be right there. And the guy was such an inspiration to me because I was fighting my own battle with cancer at the time, hadn't told anybody about it. And I go, man, this guy's got so much class and so much style. And they played that film at his memorial. And I got the most incredible letter from the family. And then his daughter booked me for her wedding. That is like one of the most rewarding. I no longer have cancer. And so it's like with 3,000 weddings, I start talking about one and I hear another. My most rewarding wedding of the year last year was also the lowest paying wedding. Bride calls me, her mom has Lou Gehrig's disease, and she's on her last days, and she can't make it to the wedding. And they want me to do a live webcast, and there's no signal at the hotel, there's no Wi-Fi. I'm saying, you know, it would be better if I just filmed it and took it back and played it for her. And so they hire me for it for a few $100. And then the photographer the day of the wedding says, oh no, I can do it with my iPhone, you don't have to do it. So I show up for the job. Dad says, hey, you know, go ahead and film, but we won't need you anyways. I said, well, think of me as the backup prom date. I'll be there if you need me. Sure enough, the photographer couldn't make it work, and I knew he could. And I take the video to the house. I set the monitor up right in front of Mom. I put the headphones on her, and she watched it, and she cried, and I took a picture of it, and I texted it to the bride so she could see the picture before she walked into the reception. So the bride who thought that her mother couldn't share her wedding day with her did. And that was the most rewarding job of the year.
Wow. That's great, man. That is great. I hope everybody's taking the pointers is why Mr. John Goolsby here stands above and beyond the rest. Some great nuggets in here, even though it's not directly related to the sales and marketing per se, but it is. It is so much, you know.
I hope everybody, I mean, I made a note here. I hope everybody's understanding just how simple and smooth your pitches are. I mean, just by asking a question and being on it, you know, we talk all the time. It's like, be engaged with what your customers are doing. And the fact that you said, you know, we really should tell his story. I mean, it's that simple. It's like the family automatically gets it. And then boom, there it is. And obviously it's all about selling and making money, but it's not. I mean, if your heart is in the right place, it's like people just get it, clients get it. In a lot of cases, price becomes much less of an issue, you know, whenever it's you're making a connection on that kind of level, really in anything, corporate and personal. All right. So our man Chase Turnbow, what's up, Chase? Says, can you explain how you film your weddings? How many cameras, what angles, etc.?
Yeah, you know, one thing that we've always done is we want that camera to be one to see the bride's face, one to see the groom's face, one back center aisle, and then usually a fourth camera getting a unique angle, maybe walking around, maybe outside when the chapel doors open or something different. But I've noticed that a lot of the films I watch online, the cameras are the audience side of the bride and groom. And it looks great if they happen to turn towards each other or towards the audience, but a lot of times when a couple are saying their vows, even if they look at each other, their bodies are still facing the minister. So we'll usually put two cameras on the minister side of the couple and then find a way to hide them behind people or flowers or doorways or something. Sometimes it's not doable, and when that's not doable, then we will put them on the audience side of the couple, but we'll go to rehearsal and we'll coach them a little bit more how to stand. So I know I've got to see their eyes. I know I've got to see a close-up when they're saying their vows. There'll usually be 3 or 4 camera operators. They're all on tripods. I'm on a monopod for the processional, back to a tripod, and I'll usually be the primary camera for the bride's face during the ceremony. One of the key things is getting great audio. And I know you can put the little portable recorders everywhere, but I'm still a control freak and have to monitor them. So sometimes we'll run 8 wireless mics during the ceremony. Wow. Minister, groom, sometimes the bride's dad, shotgun mics, any music that's taking place at all, we're going to close mic them. And I use PZM mics that I can put right on the floor between a string trio. If there's electronic organ, I'll patch right into the outputs of it. Really obsessed about audio.
Great, great. Well, we've got a little about 15 minutes left, so we'll have to rapid fire through. We got about 10 questions queued up here.
All right. Steve says, John, is that a Sony NEX700 I see you with? What do you like about it?
I'm shooting with the Sony FS100. And like it a lot. People complain that it's boxy and doesn't really fit the handheld type of shooting, but I don't shoot handheld. I'm always on a monopod, a tripod, a slider. Almost never go handheld except maybe a few shots with a fisheye on it. The Sony lenses look great. They're affordable. I can record 2.5 hours on a card at 1920 by 1080p at 60 frames a second. We did a time lapse for a Costco warehouse where we ran 11 hours nonstop. Has built-in time lapse. I mean, I like everything about it. I love the quality and I love the options on it.
Right.
All right. So Ivan Barra, I'm part-time with video now. At what point did you go full-time, surpassing your full-time income, etc.? This is for John.
I was working in a supermarket. Yeah, I was working in the grocery store. Knew I wanted to start a second career in the video business, and so I was working 6 days a week. I went to 5, 4, 3 days, 2 days a week as I'm gradually building my video business. And at that time, I could get full medical, pension, everything working 2 days a week. And then one day they announced the new union contract, said you had to go to 3 days a week to get the benefits. And I don't want to go backwards. And they go, well, it takes effect Sunday. And I said, well, then Saturday's my last day. And it was just that quick a decision. And I had 3 kids under the age of 5. So pretty scary thing to do. But my business increased as soon as I did go full-time in it.
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Frank Farrell. John, what's your most effective marketing tool for corporate video?
Gosh, you know, I think it's the website because I don't really go after it. It's our biggest part of the business, and I'm really not marketing for corporate video except through our internet presence. Facebook, I got quite a few people on there, and I'm posting on there all the time, especially like when I'm traveling. I'll always post where in the world is Godfather Films and post a picture, and people have to guess where it is. And I get people calling me all the time, say they saw me on Facebook. I got corporate jobs calling me all the time because of the internet, and I've got corporate jobs calling me because I've already done somebody in that business their wedding, and they've referred me to their boss.
Do you primarily control sort of your marketing presence? I mean, or is it kind of everybody on the crew is posting or, you know, doing that kind of stuff?
No, it's all me.
Okay, cool. All right, let's see.
My son posts quite a bit too, Chip.
Okay. So Nando, what was the shortest time that you've had to do the best scenes with the couple? I guess kind of how,
Best
you know.
scene?
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Well, he might be talking. Yeah, see, John doesn't really stage anything, so he's not, you know, he's not sitting here, you know, putting up elaborate settings with the weddings, correct? You're just capturing it as it happens.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we shoot love stories where I had a couple that met in a bar. Yeah, yesterday morning I shoot a funeral. Then I go shoot a love story with a couple, and we take them back to where they first met and recreate that. I've done that all over the country. New Orleans, a Starbucks in Phoenix. We have a lot of fun recreating it, and then we usually introduce some funny element that wasn't really true, where she was like making fun of the way he was dressed. And then I was up to last night packing gift boxes that went to 36 wedding professionals in Orange County today, me and 6 other wedding professionals. I was out delivering them this morning and got back literally just minutes before we started this. And then I'm out filming soccer games tonight. I just love the variety in the work. It's, yeah, so it has nothing to do with the question, but that's the way I roll.
Well, I love that answer. That's still a good answer.
So we're going to post another question from Randy Wheeler. With all those domain names / websites driving traffic to your business, are you doing any paid search marketing?
I've experimented with paid search marketing, but only for our AV rental business. We do quite a bit of AV rental, I mean like several jobs a week. And I used to do pay-per-click advertising, but there's so much competition on that we would have to pay too much per click to make it worthwhile. The way it works, there's a lot of companies that do AV rentals who don't actually own anything. They do pay-per-click advertising. They're geniuses at it. Then they have a network of people like me around the country that they send the jobs out to. And there's about 5 or 6 companies that we actually subcontract for. And that's a pretty good chunk of income too. So I gave up on that, but we did get aggressive at the SEO for our AV rental business. And we get calls all the time direct now too, but no pay-per-click.
All right, so Steve Pointer is asking, what lens do you predominantly use?
The Sony FS100, it has its 18 by 200. It's not really fast enough for me a lot of times. We're shooting at 30 frames a second. I can get that camera up to, you know, quite a bit of gain without any noise. That's the one I use most of the time. When I get to the reception, after traditional events are over, I've got a 16 millimeter at 2.8 autofocus. They call it the pancake, and there's a fisheye that fits right onto it like in a second, and it's also at 2.8. And I use the two of those a lot for bridal prep and for reception just because it looks good. And so I haven't thrown a lot of money into lenses. I'm running a business with a lot of volume and a lot of cameras, and I have not invested a lot in glass, but I'm happy with my choices.
Good deal.
All right, I'm not sure what this means. Maybe you do. Can we get a link to Frank's video name tag distribution?
My video name tags, somebody can contact me and I sell them direct. I don't put them on the website. Usually what I do is I go to trade shows and sell them. If we're saying Frank, if somebody Googles Frank Legacy Godfather Films, the link will pop up in Google and you'll see the video that I produced for the guy that was dying of cancer.
Oh, cool.
Got it.
All right, let's see. Ruben is asking, I'm very interested in documentary filmmaking and in weddings also. What do you ask people when you interview them for a wedding video? I guess he hears they're usually very short talkers. Do you do those kind of things? Do you do the reception interview type stuff, or?
I'm not sure what the question is. As far as doing interviews of wedding guests, no, we don't do that. Not unless they make us, and then I'll give somebody a handheld mic and coach them how to do it. If you're talking about clients when they come to see us, you know, we sit down, we have a conference room with leather seating, 50-inch plasma. I've got an iPad, internet, Western Digital HD player, a DVD jukebox with 400 DVDs in it. So I've got a variety of stuff I can show. But every client's going to have a different way of connecting with them, and we do that first before we try and actually show work.
Is that how, I mean, in your selling process, is that, or is your goal, if they can, to try to get them to your studio, or are you trying to do it all online? I mean, what's sort of your main selling process?
Yeah, it used to be almost all entirely in the studio. I know I have a better chance of selling a better package and having a happier client if we can talk about how we can make this wedding movie unique. But so many people are hiring me online that I don't get that opportunity, and I miss that connection. You know, when a movie's produced in Hollywood, it has to appeal to millions of people. When I'm producing a film, it only has to appeal to my client. But the more I can learn about my client, the better chance I have of producing a better movie. You know, I saw grandma hand her granddaughter, the bride, a crucifix that had been in her family for generations. And I saw her hand it to her the morning of the wedding. Well, I took that later and I laid it across the bouquet and got a shot of it. And I know most people would look at it and wouldn't be inspired by that shot, but I know the bride is going to cry when she sees that, especially, you know, decades from now. The more I can learn about my family and my client and about the event, the better job I can do. And so I always want to get them in the studio, if nothing else, just to learn more about them.
So I want to ask, go ahead.
My business card says professional storyteller. So in order to tell the story, I have to know the story.
So we're getting close to ending, Michael, and I just want to, as he's talking, I mean, John, I'm inspired by you, man. I mean, you know, we spend a whole lot of time trying to help other people learn how to do things, and I've been like in class for the last hour. I mean, it's crazy. But, you know, the question that I have for you is it feels like that, you know, I mean, when you're running a company, you're climbing for so many years. Every day it's a new problem, a new, you know, how do we do this? Where are we going to do that? It sounds like that you're not really running into anything anymore that you haven't seen already as it relates to your company. And so what I'm wondering is, when do you feel like in your career you kind of, it was that turning point for you? You know, like you're on the mountain and now you're just kind of cruising, as opposed to, you know, just constant friction and technical problems and marketing problems and client problems. And I'd just be, you know, interested to know when you felt like that transition occurred.
I don't know if that's true. First breakthrough was the first time I got a B&C a piece of equipment with B&C connector on it. Then I got gold-plated dubbing cables that I knew would make everything better. And the first time I was able to dissolve to white instead of black, that was just like huge for me. And when we were able to do slow motion, like that was nonstop.
I mean, like for instance, like my, you know, and it's interesting that your son works with you. You know, one of my sons is he's 8 years old, and every day he asks me 20 more questions about the company, because he's just convinced that one day he's going to grow up and run this business. And he's got this, you know, he's got the same name as me, so it should be an easy transition. But it's just, you know, and I just think, you know, it would be really cool at some point, you know, in 15 years, you know, to bring him into the business. And if he's been with me the whole time, which of course he's with me every day, you know, how did that work for you? I mean, in terms of bringing your son into it, just what was the dynamic like and that sort of thing?
There's a picture on my Facebook page, I think, of us doing our first same-day edit in 1990. He was 9 years old. The camera weighs over 20 pounds. I remember he told me he filmed out the window as I drove the Rolls Royce for the couple. You know, he's just, you know, he's always been a part of the business since he was a kid. Even before he was 9, you know, I'm shooting with a 3/4-inch portable that has 20-minute loads and 2 big old brick batteries, and his job was to change tapes and batteries. I remember I used to have a wireless transmitter that would go from his back camera when he's 10 or 11 years old running the camera for me, so I could see the monitor up front. I was sending it wireless through the church. And we used to wear radio headsets so I could talk to him. But one day he told me, Dad, the only thing you ever ask me is, are the numbers rolling? Like, so we finally quit using the headsets, and it was all like hand signals and just the look. You know, it's like we're on the same page. No, he is so good with customers. He's great with sales. He can be around celebrities with no problem, CEOs with no problem, and anybody just gets along with him. So very instrumental in the success of our business.
Awesome. Well, Michael, man, we're at the hour mark, buddy. Do your thing.
Rock and roll, rock and roll. Well, I wanted to ask one thing, and we'll finish it off. What is the starting rate, if you don't mind sharing? Awesome shades. If you don't mind sharing your starting rate for a wedding.
Well, I'll tell you what. Back in 2006. We were averaging about $5,000 a video, and gosh, I think we're doing around 200 of them. We did over $1 million of sales in 2006. It was a really good year for us. The market changed dramatically after that, so we actually lowered our prices, but took so many of the options out of there. Our $8,500 package at that time was 3 cameras, all-day coverage, a love story, a look back, honeymoon video, projector screen, sound system. I mean, it just had so much stuff in it, and people were so price conscious that we actually took a lot of things out of that package and lowered the price. We're actually making more per hour, but I thought it was a more sellable package. So we'll go out. We don't do by hours anymore. We do by events. So our entry package is the ceremony through the traditional events. Ceremony, grand entrance, toast, bouquet and garter.
No preps.
First dance.
Nothing before the ceremony.
Nothing, and that package is $2,500. The package I sell the most is, you know, a full day coverage, 8 to 10 hours with a music video for $37.90. My destination package is $6,000, and our same day edit package is $5,500.
What was the middle one before the $6,000? It cut out. Was that $4,700?
$3,800 is all day with a music video.
Gotcha.
Now,
so unlike
the brochure is downloadable as a PDF at godfatherfilms.com. So we put our prices right on the website.
Good deal. Well, guys, we appreciate everybody coming on the call today. This is the second expert interrogation with the Godfather Films, John Goolsby, rocking it out with us today. We appreciate everybody bouncing on. If you guys want to be notified of future expert interrogations, above or below, you should have an email sign up. Just put that in there, and we also have some goodies, some cool downloads for you there. We also have, we'll link up this in the show notes and everything, and we can send you the links to this in email if you sign up. He gave us some links to different things. John Goolsby gave us a promo code for his book. So we'll link all that stuff up. If you want to sign up for the email so that we can send that stuff to you guys, that'll be great. And we're super excited. We've got about 9 of these scheduled right now. We're actually, if anybody wants to fill in for Tuesday and Thursday of next week, otherwise we have the following about 4 weeks scheduled out. So we have 9 people, or 8 people after that, all scheduled. We've got Lance Gray from Pixel Pops, which is now, you know, Action Video Service. We've got Ron Dawson scheduled. I think Carl Olson's on the call. We've got a lot of cool people coming up. So if you want to stay notified of all that, check it out. Planet Mitch is on here. We're going to be getting him from Planet 5D. So it's going to be a great year, guys. And Chris and I run a site called CreateInsights.com where we do stuff like this every week. The educational side of things, we're really trying to help people grow their video production companies and really take it to the next level. We know there's a big hole there, and we want everybody to really succeed. And you know, I struggled a lot, you know, growing things, and Chris helped me out. And so that's what we're trying to give back. And we appreciate John taking time out of his obviously very, 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 very busy schedule to do this with us today. And that's pretty much it, guys. So we truly appreciate it, and we'll keep you posted. So rock and roll. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Thank you. Anytime.
See ya. Thank you.